Hey guys, Glenn from Brew City Barbecue, and something really quick today. It's been really cold the last couple days. It's or actually about the last week or so. That's why I haven't done the brisket yet. But the local grocery store sells pre-made meatloafs, so I figured I'd smoke it. And it should only take about 2 or 3 hours. Taking it to an internal temperature of 165. I'm not going to do anything with it really right now. Just going to get it on the, this is a cooling rack you can get for baking and everything. The thing I like about this, instead of just doing it in the aluminum pan, if I do it this way, the smoke is really just going to hit the top of the meatloaf. Whereas if I put it on here, it'll drain fine. I've got a big bucket on the bottom for all the grease and everything. But this way, the smoke gets all around. It gets on everything. So, and I'm just going to put a little bit of rub on it. This is one that I got off Amazon, and I liked it quite a bit, actually. Never heard of it before. This is the Kansas City Barbecue Dry Rub from Grub and Rubs. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of that on there for some flavor. After about 2 hours, I'm going to kind of glaze the meatloaf. I know a lot of people just do like ketchup, but I'm going to do a mixture of ketchup, yellow mustard, probably yellow mustard, maybe some fancy stuff, and Heinz 57 sauce. And I'm just going to brush it on there so that it kind of caramelizes a little bit while it smokes. That's kind of the way I've had meatloaf forever. My stepfather is the meatloaf person in the family. He's the one that makes it all the time. Hamburger is kind of tough to get right now because everybody's hoarding. So I saw this and said, hey, what the heck? And then that means I don't have to cook in the house. So I'm just gonna try to get this out of here. I mean, it's made so that you just bake it right in this pan, obviously. Oh, that was easy. All right. I could flip it over, but why? So I'm just gonna leave it like this. And it's not ready to go on yet. Kind of jumping the gun. Unfortunately, the lid on this thing kind of broke when Amazon shipped it. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit on there just for some flavoring, for some barbecue flavoring. Not gonna go crazy with it. Oh, and the lid finally broke. Okay. So right now I got the charcoal going to get things up to temp. Close this a little bit. So yeah, instead of doing it in the oven, I figured what the hell, we'll throw it in the smoker. So charcoal's going, and somebody asked why I do charcoal. A couple reasons. Number one, it's easier to get going for me. I don't have one of those big blowtorch things. So it's just easier for me to get the fire going that way, but I think it helps you kind of regulate the heat a little bit better, especially with the side firebox. This isn't, honestly, this meatloaf is something that I would normally do on my Acorn. But the parts have not shown up yet to fix it. And then I also figured out the other day that the screws in the hinge on the Acorn actually fell out as well. So I had to order, they have a hardware kit at Char-Griller that I ordered, and it shipped today. So hopefully it's the right parts and I can get this thing back up and running. Because this is, I always consider the Acorn kind of baking things, more like an oven, especially if I have my Cyberq on there and I can control the heat. So this is something I would normally do in the Acorn, but I mean, hey, the Smokin' Pro works pretty fine. So I gotta get my temperature gauge turned on. I have to set the heat and everything still, which I haven't done yet. So it might beep at us a little bit, but, and really, you normally would bake this, I think, at 250 or something like that. I have no idea what we're gonna run today. I can adjust it a little bit here and there, but I'm not too worried about it. I honestly think this will probably take at the most 3 hours. So not a biggie. And I'm streaming it today too, so if anybody cares, I'm actually streaming it on Twitch. Because why not? So I'm gonna put a couple of logs in here. And I'm gonna do hickory today, and I'm probably gonna do a log of oak as well. since it's beef, I don't want to do any apple or anything like that. And also, who knows what's in this meatloaf? My neighbor, I was talking to her before, and she said that the meatloafs from this grocery store are actually kind of salty. So that's all I have to work with right now. All right, we'll put one log of oak on so it can not burn like last time. But we'll do mainly hickory in this because that's what I use for barbecue. So we'll just give this a little bit of time to get... I mean, honestly, I'll probably just put this on. I don't need to let it get up to temperature or anything. It's actually... what is it right now inside? It's 115. I'll let it get up to heat a little bit, but it's going to get cooler when I put that in there anyway. So this isn't going to be very scientific today, but like I said, all I know is that I'm going to take it up to, what did I say, 165? And that'll be my measurement right there. All right, so we're about 4 hours into the smoke. I just put a log of pecan on because I love pecan wood. It's a nice kind of lighter flavor, but it still gets that good smoky flavor. So I've got pecan and hickory running right now. I just put a glaze on there that I made up. If you can see that, that's equal parts yellow mustard, ketchup, and Heinz 57 sauce. Basically what my stepfather's used for years. He always did ketchup and mustard. I have some fancier mustards in the fridge, but since this is kind of my first time, I didn't really want to waste them because they're from Kansas City. It's a company called Helga's, and they make some outstanding mustards, like this garlic mustard I have and a really spicy one. So I just drizzled that on here, and what I'm hoping for now that we have only about 12 degrees to go for the meatloaf is I'm hoping that caramelizes pretty well, and that's going to definitely absorb some of the smoke. So I think that's really going to turn out well. And right now we're at an internal temperature of 153. We're targeting 165. The smoker's running only at about 170 right now because I put that wood on there. So it's got to get going a little bit. The problem is I put a single log of oak in here before with some other stuff, and I shouldn't have done that because these oak logs still don't want to burn, which kind of sucks. Kind of bummed out about that. So it's still smoldering like it was when I was doing the Texas brisket, but the pecan's already going, so that's pretty good. So that internal temp's definitely going to go up pretty quick here. We're already up to 172 now. If I see any problems with the temp, which I haven't yet, because I'm not in any rush, and this meatloaf's going to go pretty fast overall. But if it drops anymore, if it drops below 160, I'll probably come out here and pull the charcoal tray out a little bit, the tray in the offset firebox, just to give it more oxygen. But yeah, I mean, I'll leave this in the fridge for now. I'll bring it back out when I check on things. I don't think I'll have to put any more of that on there, though. I did a pretty nice application of that glaze on there. And somebody was asking before why I was using this little warming tray or warming rack instead of just doing it on the cast iron grill. Originally why I did it was because I was going to use a disposable aluminum pan underneath it so it would catch the drippings and I could make a gravy out of it. But the problem is the warming rack of the grill, this right here, was getting in the way, and it's not really easy to take out of there, especially when it's hot. So instead I just did the warming rack because usually when you're grilling in this, the cast iron grills are great and you can pull things right off. But because I'm not grilling, I'm smoking at a lower temperature than normal, I was afraid that maybe that meatloaf would stick to that cast iron too much. And, you know, meatloafs are ground beef, and it falls apart a little bit easier than like a steak or something like that. So that's why I'm using that rack today. But everything's been going great. It's been a really good smoke so far. The meat's looking fantastic. And I'm excited to try it out. I've never had a smoked meatloaf before, but I've seen some people on the Char-Griller group on Facebook talk about it a little bit. You know, I was kind of a nerd and I didn't make it myself. I just pre-bought it, or, you know, bought a pre-made one. But what the heck? I mean, it's a nice day outside. It's a little cold. It's still in the 50s, but it's a nice day out. It's nice and sunny, and why not try it? What's up, folks? Just a little update on the smoked meatloaf. We're at 147 for internal temperature, and we're shooting for 165. I glazed it before, and oh yeah, that is definitely setting really nice. So, smoker's running a little low in terms of heat, but it's no big deal. I got these a couple weeks ago. These are chunks of bourbon barrels. So I would assume this is oak, even though bourbon barrel staves, I can't remember how many choices there are for, you know, we kind of talk about how different woods in the smoker are different spices, and that's the same way when they make bourbon, is the different staves are different types of wood. So like the Maker's Mark 46, for instance, that's the 46th recipe that the Coopers, you know, worked with Maker's Mark to make. And that's where the 46 came from. So I'm just going to throw one chunk in. I'm basically saving this for the brisket, but I wanted to see if this makes any difference with the meatloaf when I have it tonight. So let's chuck this baby in. Whew. And I've got a log of pecan in there now, and that's burning pretty well. So we'll just throw that in the middle. And there we have it. Alright guys, just got the notification that we hit our internal temp. Oh! Got it right in the eyes. Oh, that's looking really good. So I'm going to pull it off. I'm only going to let it rest for a couple minutes. I mean, it's meatloaf. It's not like I'm really trying to save too much of the moisture or anything else. It's going to have a lot of fat content. But, yeah, we'll see how this goes. All right. So let's cut into this bad boy. Wow, looks really good. Let's see if I can. There we go. Nice smoke ring all the way around it, which I figured would happen. There you go, folks. There's smoked meatloaf. Only took about 4 hours. And really like the color. Nice smoke ring. Of course, I'm gonna have to taste it. So glad I have my good knives here. Wow, I can already smell it. Holy crap, that smells really good. I think they actually mixed some pork in there. At least it feels like it. So there you go. That'll make for a good dinner tonight. But yeah. That's pretty fantastic. Getting a good hint of the smoke too. Oh yeah. So what did I learn with the meatloaf? First off, man, it's easy. It's really easy. I would consider this kind of a beginner thing to try. But I definitely learned that I'll make my own meatloaf from now on. I mean, it was great having the convenience of just picking it up, having it pre-made, but I got it from Festival Foods, which is a grocery store chain up here in Wisconsin, and I normally really like Festival. They do a lot of kind of pre-made things like that, but their recipe isn't the greatest, in my opinion. They definitely mixed a lot of pork in there, and oddly enough, it kind of made it seem a little more dry than normal. It wasn't crumbly at all. It was actually, like, when I sliced through it, you could kind of see that I just sliced through it, and it was really firm. The other thing was, it wasn't that salty, as much as I expected, at least from what my neighbor said, but at the same time, it had celery seeds in it, and that's so weird. And when I was eating it, it was fine. It was really good smoky flavor. The glaze that I made, I normally like that in the oven, but for some reason, it didn't work as well in the smoker. So I'll definitely, when I do it again, and I will do it again, I'm going to make my own meatloaf, number one. Number two, I'm either just going to use ketchup on it, like normal, or some barbecue sauce. And I think even a sweeter sauce or a bolder sauce would work. But I want something a little bit thicker that might get sticky, might adhere to the top of that meatloaf a little bit better, not melt off. But it was fun. It only took a couple hours, and very easy to do. Got it up to temp. It tasted great. It saved really well. Threw it in the fridge and ate it over the next couple of days. The dog had some, and it was a fun project. So if you're just starting out at smoking stuff, a pork loin's really good. I'm going to be doing a couple more of those tomorrow, actually. I'm going to see the parents tonight. But meatloaf, man, is real easy, and I think the benefits are great. The payoff is really good. Cost-wise, making a meatloaf isn't that bad at all. It's just a few bucks. And you can get kind of creative with it at the same time. So it's a good starter because, if you mess it up, who cares? You're out like $10. It's not like you mess up a brisket for 60, 80, $100, depending on where you get brisket and how much they charge per pound. So, fun project, fun experiment, and I think it's a success, and I learned from it. And that's always something that I benefit from is learning from something like this and trying it new, even though I've heard about it so much. It was fun. Hope you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you can. Like I said, if I get up to 100 subs, I can actually rename the channel, so it's youtube.com/Brew City Barbecue or whatever I'm going to make it. And thanks for the comments, and keep them coming. Suggest something if you want to see me smoke something specifically. I know I've been promising a brisket for a while. I think I might actually do that this weekend when I'm at my parents', because I have an Acorn there as well, and I have my CyberQ controller, so it's got 4 temperature probes. It's got a fan that controls the heat. I love using that CyberQ. I want to get one for the house. And the parts for my Acorn here at the house actually did show up, so once I get the time, I'm going to basically put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Almost all the bolts and screws and everything fell out of it when it traveled, so a lesson learned on that one as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon, folks.